Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks, because we are about to blow the lid off one of the most controversial claims in modern sports history. Forget everything you think you know about America's football royalty. The Dallas Cowboys? Old news. The New England Patriots? Yesterday's dynasty. There is a new sheriff riding into town, and it is galloping in on orange and blue hooves straight out of the Rocky Mountains. That's right, we are talking about the Denver Broncos, and today we are laying out the receipts, the cold hard facts, and the jaw-dropping numbers that prove this team is not just a regional favorite anymore. They are becoming, dead serious, America's team. If you are just pulling up a chair to this conversation for the first time, welcome. I am a die-hard Broncos fan, and I have spent way too many hours digging through maps, ratings charts, and jersey sales data to bring you this deep dive. But before we get into it, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment down below and tell me what your favorite 4th of July tradition is. Are you a fireworks person? A backyard barbecue person? Personally, my family has this tradition of hiking up the hill at the Westminster Rec Center, watching the fireworks light up the sky, and then sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic for an hour, just to get out of the parking lot afterward. Some things never change, but hey, that's America for you. Hot dogs, hamburgers, fireworks, and a whole lot of patience. I hope you and your family have an incredible holiday, and now let's get into why your Denver Broncos are quickly becoming the most talked about, most watched, and most beloved team in the entire country. Let's start with something so simple, so visual, that you cannot argue with it. Pull up a map of the United States and shade in each region by which NFL team the locals are actually rooting for. Now look at the sheer amount of territory covered in Broncos orange. It is staggering. We are not talking about a tiny pocket of fandom squeezed into one metro area. We are talking about a footprint that stretches across a massive chunk of this country. And here is the kicker. It is not the so-called Chiefs Kingdom dominating that map either. Why? Because there is no kingdom left to rule. Broncos country already dethroned the king. There are no crowns here, just a whole lot of dogs. Because when you look at this roster and this fan base, there is no such thing as an underdog anymore. There is only dog, plural, everywhere you look. And speaking of underdogs, let's talk about the soul of this nation for a second, because this is where the Broncos story gets almost poetic. America was built by underdogs. This country started as a scrappy band of farmers, tradesmen, and backwoods militia going up against the most powerful military machine on the planet at the time, the British Empire, and somehow, against every single odd, they won. That spirit, that stubborn refusal to accept defeat when the whole world says you should lose, is stitched into the fabric of who we are as Americans. And guess what team has been living out that exact story? The Denver Broncos absorbed the largest dead cap hit in the history of the NFL, a financial anchor that should have sunk this franchise for years, and instead they clawed their way into the playoffs and came within a single ankle injury of reaching the Super Bowl. Nobody predicted that. Nobody had this team penciled in for anything close to that kind of run. And yet here we are. Despite paying $85 million to a quarterback who was not even playing for them anymore, the Broncos have been in playoff contention every single year since Sean Payton walked through that door. That is not luck. That is grit. That is the exact underdog energy that built this entire country, and it is exactly why people are falling in love with this team. Now let's get into the numbers, because talk is cheap and receipts do not lie. If you want real, tangible, undeniable proof that the Broncos are surging in popularity, you do not have to look any further than television ratings. Last season, the Broncos put together one of the most emotional and most watched comebacks of the entire regular season against the New York Giants. That fourth quarter, played in honor of the late Demaryius Thomas, saw Denver claw back from a deficit in a game they honestly had no business winning, and fans could not tear their eyes away from their screens. Then came Christmas Day. The Broncos took the field without their usual measure of star power on the opposing side, since Patrick Mahomes was not even active for that particular matchup, and despite that, it became the most watched Thursday night football game of all time. Let that sink in for a second. Even with a depleted opponent, this game shattered viewership records. Just imagine what those numbers would have looked like with a full-strength Chiefs squad on the other sideline. It does not stop there. Earlier in the season, before Mahomes went down with injury, the Broncos and Chiefs squared off in a game that Bo Nix and company came away with, and that broadcast ended up being the most watched regular season game of the entire year, or depending on how you slice the numbers, at worst the 5th most watched. Then Denver hit the road to take on the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that was not supposed to lose at home, and the Broncos shocked everyone by winning anyway. That broadcast pulled in one of the largest audiences for that stadium since 2013. Do you see the pattern forming here? As the season rolled on and the country slowly started to realize that this Broncos team was legitimately good, the viewership numbers kept climbing higher and higher. This is not a new phenomenon for longtime fans either. Broncos Nation remembers the Peyton Manning era, when this franchise was back on top of the football world, before a rough stretch of years turned things into an absolute embarrassment. I still remember getting texts from friends across the country during those dark Thursday night football years, watching Russell Wilson's offense struggle to put up single-digit point totals, with messages basically saying, "Hey man, your team is rough right now." But as this current era progressed and the wins started piling up, that narrative flipped completely. Every single primetime slot the Broncos were handed turned into a ratings bonanza. The divisional round matchup against the Buffalo Bills became one of the most watched playoff games of that entire postseason slate. And get this, even without Bo Nix on the field due to injury, the AFC Championship game featuring the Broncos actually drew more television viewers than the NFC Championship game that same weekend. With a backup quarterback under center. Think about that for a moment. Here is something else that is fascinating. Well before the rest of the country truly understood how good Bo Nix was becoming, the NFL league office had already figured it out. Look at the schedule they were handed. A Thursday night game, multiple primetime slots, a Monday night matchup, a Sunday night showcase, even an international game across the pond in London. The league schedulers were clearly reading tea leaves that the rest of America had not caught on to yet, and they made sure Bo Nix and the Broncos were placed in front of as many eyeballs as humanly possible. And this season, that trend has only intensified. Head coach Sean Payton has openly admitted that all these Thursday and Friday night games make for a scheduling nightmare in terms of preparation time. But as he put it, the alternative to that inconvenience is far worse. The alternative is being irrelevant, stuck in the dreaded 2:30 afternoon slot every single Sunday because nobody in the country wants to tune in and watch you play. That is clearly not Denver's reality anymore. This season alone, the Broncos have been handed multiple Thursday night games, a Friday matchup on Black Friday of all days, and the honor of opening the entire NFL season on Monday night for the whole country to see. That is about as must-see TV as it gets in professional football. The league even structured this year's schedule so that if the Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers are both still fighting for playoff positioning late in the season, that late-season matchup could get flexed into a primetime slot. That is the kind of foresight and respect that only gets extended to teams the league knows people actually want to watch. And the numbers back all of this up in staggering fashion. The divisional round game pulled nearly 40 million television viewers. The AFC Championship game came in at almost 50 million viewers, making it the second most watched broadcast of the entire football season, trailing only the Super Bowl itself. Meanwhile, the network broadcasting these games posted its most watched football season on record, and the Broncos were a massive part of driving those numbers. Now let's pivot to another area where the proof is undeniable, and that is merchandise. Everybody in football media loves to talk about the flashy young quarterbacks like Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and J.J. McCarthy. And look, those guys are talented. No argument there. But quietly, without nearly as much hype or media attention, Bo Nix has climbed all the way up to being the 11th highest-selling jersey in the entire National Football League. Think about how remarkable that actually is. This is a guy who spent a good chunk of his rookie campaign getting doubted, dismissed, and even mocked by national media pundits, and yet fans across the country are putting their money where their mouth is and buying his jersey in droves. Rewind just a couple of years, and the Broncos did not have a single player cracking the top 20 jersey sales list, let alone the top 30. There were seasons where other franchises had multiple players individually outselling anything Denver had to offer. Now the Broncos have fought their way back into relevance, and it is happening fast. But this story is not just about wins, losses, ratings, and merchandise sales. There is a deeper layer here that speaks to why this franchise resonates so strongly with the values this country holds dear. and that is the Broncos' relationship with military service. Sean Payton, since the very first season he took over as head coach, has made it a tradition to dedicate one of the team's training camp practices specifically to honoring members of the armed forces. This is not some token gesture either. Sean Payton has personally used these moments to deliver major news directly to service members before it even reached the media. When Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham were locked in a tight quarterback competition during training camp, Payton chose the exact day that a group of veterans and active service members were visiting practice to make his decision known. He gathered all those special guests together first and told them personally that Bo Nix would be the team's starting quarterback, and only after that moment did he go brief the media. That is the kind of respect and priority this organization places on the people who serve this country, and it comes from a personal place for Payton, who has family members with military service in their own background. This tradition runs even deeper through the roster and franchise history. Longtime fans remember Ben Garland, a beloved Bronco who served in the Air Force before and during his NFL career. Current roster member Jordan Jackson has his own history of military service as well. And then there's the iconic mile-high salute, a tradition popularized by the legendary Terrell Davis, which has become a staple celebration and a tribute to this country and the people who protect it. For an entire generation of Broncos fans, that salute is not just a touchdown celebration, it is a piece of identity woven into what it means to root for this team. So when you step back and look at the complete picture, the geographic dominance stretching across the map, the underdog spirit that mirrors the very origin story of this nation, the record-breaking television ratings piling up week after week, the jersey sales climbing into the national top tier, and a deep, genuine commitment to honoring military service, you start to see why this claim is not just some hot take from a passionate fan. The Denver Broncos are not just building a winning football team, they are building a movement, and the whole country is starting to take notice whether they are ready to admit it or not. And honestly, we might just be scratching the surface. This upcoming season, Bo Nix is coming back with a massive chip on his shoulder after falling one game short of the ultimate goal. These things compound. Momentum in professional sports has a way of snowballing, and if the Broncos have already reached this level of national attention without even winning it all yet, just imagine the explosion that happens the moment they hoist that Lombardi trophy. We are not talking about a team settling for runner-up status again. We are talking about a franchise fully positioned to go all the way and cement its status once and for all as America's team. So there you have it, the facts, the figures, and the receipts laid out plain and simple. The Denver Broncos are rising, and rising fast, and if you have been sleeping on this team, now is the time to wake up. This story is only getting started, and I promise you the best chapters have not even been written yet. If you enjoyed breaking down these facts with me today, do me a solid and smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow more than you might realize. Drop a comment below and let me know, do you believe the Broncos are truly becoming America's team, or are you still holding out loyalty for another franchise? I want to hear your take, so let's get a good debate going down there. And if you have not already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown, a hot take, or a deep dive into everything happening in Broncos country. We have got a lot more to cover this season, and I would love to have you along for the ride. Until next time, keep the faith, Broncos Nation, and go Broncos!